Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Another important feature of the midbrain are pretectal nuclei. Now, pretectal nuclei are located in the midbrain at the level of superior calyculus. This is a section through the midbrain, then interpedicular fossa, crus cerebri on each side, and then substantia nigra. The cerebral aqueduct surrounded by central gray matter. Then anterolateral to it are red nuclei. Here in the tectal region under the superior caliculi are nuclei of the superior caliculi. Now anterolateral to the nuclei of superior caliculi are pretectal nuclei, one right and one left. Pretectal nuclei. Diagram shows midbrain section. So the pretectal nuclei are located in the upper part of the midbrain at the level of superior caliculi, and the nuclei are located anterolateral to the nuclei of superior caliculi. These pretectal nuclei, they are relay station in pupillary. Light reflects. Relay station in pupillary light reflex. Now, first of all, what is pupillary light reflex? That when you throw a light by means of a torch, etc., in one eye, the pupil of that eye will constrict. And while throwing light in one eye to see whether the pupil constrict or not, the other eye is covered by hand. The other eye is not closed but covered by hand. So the pupil of eye will constrict. But at the same time, the pupil of the other eye also constrict. So when the pupil of the eye constrict in response to light, it is called pupillary light reflex. But at the same time, the pupil of the opposite eye, which is covered by hand or by a cord, will also constrict. So in response to light, the pupil of both eyes, uncovered and covered eye, will constrict. So because the pupil of both eyes constrict, one exposed to the light and the other covered by the hand or cord, it is known as the pupillary, it is known as the consensual light reflex. Consensual pupillary light reflex. So the pupil constrict. Why the pupil constrict? You know, in the iris there is constrictor pupillae and dilator pupillae. The constrictor pupillae muscle of the eye, of the iris, will constrict. You will contract and the pupil will constrict. In response to parasympathetic stimulation, the pupils constrict, and in response to sympathetic nervous system, the pupils are dilated. Here, the parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system is involved. That I will explain later on. So this was about the pupillary light reflex or consensual light reflex. Now, what is the pathway? Of pupillary light reflex. Part of the visual pathway, that is eyeball, retina of the eyeball, then optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, and I told you that the optic tract divides into a lateral root and a medial root. The lateral root is part of the visual pathway. The lateral root fibers of the optic tract relay in the lateral genital body, then optic radiation, and then visual center. But here, in case of pupillary light reflex, the fibers for the pupillary light reflex follow the medial root of optic tract. Medial root of the optic tract. In this way, the fibers for pupillary light reflex bypass the lateral geniculate body, which is a relay station in visual pathway. So the fibers of the optic tract, instead of running through the lateral route, these fibers follow the medial route of the optic tract, enter the midbrain. In the midbrain, these fibers relay in the pretectal nuclei at the level of superior calculus, anterolateral to the nuclei of superior calculus. It is how I have explained it, that sectional diagram. So relay in the pretectal nuclei. Pretectal nuclei of both sides. Fibers from right medial root enter the midbrain and have connection with the pretectal nucleus of right side, at the same time left side. Similarly, the fibers from the left medial root enter the midbrain and they have connection with the pretectal nuclei of left and also right side. Now from the pretectal nuclei, the fibers run in the oculomotor nerve. The fibers relay in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve, third cranial nerve. Now this Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve, it is parasympathetic. It gives origin to parasympathetic fibers. From the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, the preganglionic fibers run through the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers run via oculomotor nerve. fibers run through oculomotor nerve. These parasympathetic fibers then relay in ciliary ganglion. The preganglionic parasympathetic fibers relay in ciliary ganglion, which is located in the orbit. The preganglionic parasympathetic, because these fibers are before relay in the ciliary ganglia, so they are known as preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. So when they run through the oculomotor nerve, enter the orbit. In the orbital cavity there is a parasympathetic ganglion which is known as the ciliary ganglion. It is a small ganglion nearly equal to the head of a paper pin. Now from the ciliary ganglion, postganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise. Postganglionic parasympathetic fibers, they arise via short ciliary branches of oculomotor nerve. These fibers supply number 1, constrictor pupillae muscle of the eye of the iris. Constrictor pupillae muscle of the iris. And number 2, ciliaris muscle. Of ciliary body. This is distribution or innervation of these muscles. So pupillary light reflex, what is that? When we throw a light in an eye covering the other eye, the pupil of the eye constrict because of contraction of the constrictor pupillae muscle of the iris supplied by parasympathetic nerve. The pupil of the covered eye also constrict, although you are not throwing light directly on the other eye, but they still constrict. This is known as the consensual light reflex. And this consensual light reflex is because that I told you that the fibers of the medial root, they relay in the pretectal nuclei of both sides. And second, the fibers from pretectal nuclei, they also make connection with the endangered Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve, both sides. So bilaterally. This is the reason because the pupillary light reflex pathway on one side have connection with the pretectal nuclei of both sides and endangered Westphal nuclei of oculomotor nerve of both sides. This is responsible for the consensual light reflex. So this is the pupillary light reflex. What is the pathway of pupillary light reflex? That is from eyeball, the nerve fibers leave as optic nerve, optic chiasma, then it passes through the optic tract, then it follows the medial route of the optic tract bypassing the lateral geniculate body. Bypass the lateral geniculate body, which is meant for visual pathway. Then from the medial root of the optic tract, the fibers enter the midbrain where they relay in the pretectal nuclei of both sides. And from pretectal nuclei of both sides, the fibers run forwards and are relayed in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve of both sides. The oculomotor nerve nucleus comprises of various parts. One of the part give origin to the parasympathetic nerve fibers. It is parasympathetic in function, especially known as Edinger-Westphal nucleus. The other nuclei, oculomotor nerve, they supply the other extra ocular muscles of the eyeball. From the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, preganglionic parasympathetic nerve fibers arise and run through the oculomotor nerve. These are called preganglionic because they have to relay in the ganglion, and from the ganglion then postganglionic fibers arise. So these preganglionic parasympathetic fibers originating from Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve continue to run through the oculomotor nerve. They relay in the ciliary ganglion. This ganglion is located in the orbit. It is a parasympathetic ganglion. Now, from the ciliary ganglion, postganglionic parasympathetic nerve fibers arise. These nerve fibers then pass through the oculomotor nerve and via its branches. Which branches? Short ciliary branches of the oculomotor nerve, and enter the eyeball, iris, and ciliary body. In the iris, they supply the sphincter pupillae muscle or constrictor pupillae muscle. When it stimulated, the pupil will constrict. And second, also supply the ciliaris muscle of the ciliary body, which when contract, it increases the convexity, biconvexity of the lens. That is, in other words, increases the power of the lens. So this was accommodation light reflex. So what is the applied aspect? When the pretectal nuclei are damaged, when the damage is here, pretectal nucleus, it will result in a condition known as the Argyll. Argyll-Robertson pupil. Argyll-Robertson pupil. Now, when there is damage to the pretectal nuclei or its pathway anywhere, when the optic tract divide into lateral and medial root. So from origin of the medial root of the optic tract and the pretectal nuclei, if there is any lesion, it will result in a condition known as the Argyll-Robertson pupil. Now, in this condition, in Argyll-Robertson pupil, pupillary light reflex will be absent. Pupillary light reflex will be absent, but accommodation reflex will be present. Now, what happens when you place an object near the eyeball to to have a clear vision of the near object, again the pupil constrict. So in accommodation reflex, again the pupil constrict. So in pupillary light reflex, the pupil constrict, and in accommodational light reflex also the pupil constrict. But when there is lesion in the pretectal nuclei or nerve fibers passing through the medial root of the optic nerve, when there is a lesion here, in this case the pupillary light reflex will be absent. If in this case when you throw a light in the eyeball, the pupil will constrict, pupil of both eyeball will constrict. When you want to see a near object in response to accommodation reflex, again the pupil will constrict. But in this case, when there is damage to the pretectal nucleus and you throw light in the eyeball, the pupil will not constrict. So in the lesion of the pretectal nucleus in this region result in the condition called Argyll-Robertson pupil. In this condition, pupillary light reflex is absent, but accommodation light reflex will be present. Why? Because the pathway for the pupillary light reflex is different from that of pathway of the accommodation reflex. In both pupillary light reflex normally and accommodation reflex, pupil constrict. But in case of Argyll-Robertson pupil, which is the condition resulting from damage to the pretectal nuclei, the pupillary light reflex will be absent, but accommodation light reflex will be present. So that condition is called Robertson-Argyll pupil, and this name will help you to remember that in case of pretectal nucleus damage, that is in Argyll-Robertson pupil, the pupillary light reflex will be absent, but accommodation reflex will be present. So for this you should remember this mnemonic: Argyll, A for accommodation, accommodation, R for reflex, accommodation reflex. And P for present. So how you will explain it? In Argyll-Robertson pupil, accommodation reflex is present, but pupillary light reflex is absent. But pupillary light reflex is absent. So this was about the pupillary light reflex, its pathway, and a condition related to it. When there is damage to the pretectal nucleus, it will result in Argyll-Robertson pupil, in which in Argyll-Robertson pupil the accommodation reflex is present, but pupillary light reflex is absent. Why it is so? Because the pathway of accommodation reflex and pupillary light reflex is different. So as we already discussed, the pathway for pupillary light reflex, this is a pathway for pupillary light reflex. Now to explain this, why the pupillary light reflex is present, but the pupillary light reflex is absent, but constriction of the pupil in response to accommodation is present. It is because the pathway for the accommodation reflex is different. Now what is pathway of accommodation reflex? Accommodation reflex pathway. Now, what is the pathway of accommodation reflex? Accommodation reflex pathway. So first of all, all components of visual pathway are there. That is eyeball, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, and I told you the visual pathway is there. So here will be the lateral root of optic tract. Lateral root of optic tract. And you know the fibers of the lateral root of the optic tract relay in the lateral geniculate body. Relay in the lateral geniculate body, which is the relay station in the visual pathway. Then from the lateral geniculate body, optic radiation arises. Optic radiation or geniculocalcaline tract, already I explained in previous lectures. And the fibers enter the visual center. Which is located in the occipital lobe, in and around the calcarine sulcus. This is visual pathway, which is part of the accommodation reflex pathway. Now, next to visual pathway, a bundle of association fibers arise. A bundle of association fibers arise from the visual center in each cerebral hemisphere. Now these fibers, which arise from the visual cortex in the occipital lobe, they run forward in each cerebral hemisphere and relay in the prefrontal, relay in the frontal eye field. Relay in the frontal eye field. Frontal eye field is the on the supralateral surface of frontal lobe of the cerebrum, that is the posterior end of middle frontal gyrus. Middle frontal gyrus, posterior end of the middle frontal gyrus. I will explain it later on with the help of a diagram. And from the frontal eye field, fibers descend to enter, fiber descend to enter the midbrain. In the midbrain, these fibers rely on the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve. Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve, the parasympathetic part of the oculomotor nerve in the midbrain at the level of superior colliculus. Of oculomotor nerve, third cranial nerve. From the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, preganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise. Preganglionic sympathetic fibers arise and run through via oculomotor nerve. Then through short ciliary branches, of oculomotor nerve, these fibers enter the eyeball to supply constrictor pupillae muscle. Of iris. Constrictor pupillae muscle of the iris and ciliaris muscle of ciliary body. And ciliaris muscle of the ciliary body. This is the accommodation pathway. Initially is the visual pathway. Fibers running to optic tract follow the lateral route of optic tract, not medial route. Medial route is for pupillary light reflex, relay in the pretectal nuclei. These fibers from the lateral route relay in the lateral genicular body. From the lateral genicular body, optic radiation arises which relay in this visual cortex. From the visual cortex, a bundle of association fibers arise which run through each cerebral hemisphere and relay in the frontal eye field, which is on the supralateral surface of posterior end of middle frontal gyrus of the frontal lobe of the cerebellum. From here, the fibers descend enter the midbrain, and the midbrain they relay in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of third cranial nerve. From the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, preganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise which relay in the ciliary ganglion. Sorry, forgotten one step. Relay in ciliary ganglion. And from ciliary ganglion, the postganglionic parasympathetic. Parasympathetic fibers arise. The postganglionic parasympathetic fibers originating from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus relay in the ciliary ganglion. They enter the eyeball to supply constrictor pupillary muscle of the iris and the ciliaris muscle. So in response to accumulation, the pupil will constrict and the lens power will be increased. Now, the visual pathway. Now this is supralateral surface of cerebral hemisphere. Midbrain traversed by cerebral aqueduct. You know the different sulci, the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus, central sulcus, then precentral sulcus, post-central sulcus, intraparietal sulcus, then calcarine sulcus, lunate sulcus, superior temporal sulcus, inferior temporal sulcus, superior frontal and inferior frontal sulci, and the supralateral surface of the frontal lobe. So this is a supralateral surface of the frontal lobe. This is frontal pole. This is occipital pole. Here in the occipital lobe is the visual center, broadband cortical area 17, 18, 19. Visual center in the occipital lobe. Now here you know the different sulci and gyri are the supralateral surface, central sulcus, and in front of the central sulcus is the precentral sulcus. Precentral sulcus. The gyrus between central sulcus and precentral sulcus is precentral gyrus. Rest of the supralateral surface is traversed by superior frontal sulcus, inferior central sulcus, dividing it into three gyri: superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus. Here you know is the Broca's area. Now here is suppose imaginary line. Now you can see this is the middle frontal gyrus, supralateral surface. This is posterior surface, posterior end of the middle frontal gyrus. Area number 6, 8. This is the frontal eye field. Frontal eye field. Frontal eye field. Then in the midbrain, you know there is a central gray matter around the aqueduct, and at the level of superior calculus, here is the oculomotor nerve nucleus, and below is the trochlear nerve nucleus. Now, what is the accommodation pathway? Visual pathway, eyeball, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, lateral root of the optic tract, relay in the lateral genicular body, optic radiation, ultimately end in the visual center. So from the visual center, a bundle of association fibers arise in each cerebral hemisphere, which enter the frontal eye field. A bundle of association fibers arising from the visual cortex run forward through each cerebral hemisphere and enter the frontal eye field. Bundle of association fibers. Now in this way, the association bundle of fibers connect the visual center with the frontal eye field. Now from the frontal eye field, again fibers arise which descend, enter the midbrain. And in the midbrain, these fibers relay in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of oculomotor nerve. This is supposed oculomotor nerve. Arising from the oculomotor nerve nucleus. Now this upper part of the oculomotor nerve nucleus is parasympathetic and is known as the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. From it, the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise. These follow the oculomotor nerve. Follow the oculomotor nerve. Then they follow the lower root of the oculomotor nerve. Before entering the orbit, the oculomotor nerve divide into two roots. These then enter the orbit through supraorbital fissure. This is inferior root of oculomotor nerve. Now the parasympathetic preganglionic fiber arising from Edinger-Westphal nucleus follow the oculomotor nerve, then its lower root, and then leave the lower root to relay in a ganglion in the orbit known as the ciliary ganglion. Ciliary ganglion. Now these preganglionic parasympathetic fibers leave the oculomotor nerve and enter the ciliary ganglion where they relay. Now from the ciliary ganglion, postganglionic fibers arise which again enter the oculomotor nerve, passes through the oculomotor nerve, then its branches, short ciliary branches. Follow through the postganglionic parasympathetic fibers pass through the short ciliary, enter the eyeball, eyeball here is ciliary body because it is a sectional view, so ciliary body is ring shape but it is cut twice. Ciliary body, and you know from the ciliary body iris arise, comprising of iridoidal muscle, constrictor pupillae and dilator pupillae. And to the ciliary body, lens is suspended by suspensory ligaments. Now these post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers, they leave the short ciliary branches to supply the ciliaris muscle and the constrictor pupillae muscle of the iris. So the accommodation pathway from visual pathway ending in the visual center, a bundle of association fibers arise, one in the right cerebellum hemisphere, the other in the left. These bundle of association fibers relay in the frontal eye field, which is on the supralateral surface of posterior end of the middle frontal gyrus. From here the nerve fibers descend, enter the midbrain, relay in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of the oculomotor nerve. From the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, parasympathetic fibers arise which run through the oculomotor nerve, follow its lower root, reach the orbit, where these preganglionic parasympathetic fibers, they leave the lower root and relay in the ciliary ganglion, a parasympathetic ganglion located in the orbit. From here, postganglionic parasympathetic fibers arise which via short ciliary branches enter the eyeball to supply the constrictor pupillae muscle of the iris and the ciliaris muscle. Iris supply the constrictor pupillae muscle, and here ciliary body supply the ciliaris muscle. This is the accommodation pathway, and you compare it with the pupillary light reflex pathway, which is different. So this is why when there is a lesion of the pretectal nucleus, a condition arises known as Argyll-Robertson pupil, in which the accommodation reflex is present, but pupillary light reflex is absent. But people in Argyll-Robertson pupil, the accommodation reflex, that is constriction of the pupil in response to accommodation, will be normal. It is why, because of this pathway which differ from the pupillary light reflex pathway. Now I explain the accommodation pathway with the help of a diagram. Now, a section through eyeball. This is cornea, the transparent part of the eyeball. Cornea, then the sclera outside, sclera, choroid, retina, from without inwards. This is optic nerve commencing from optic disc or blind spot. Now here is a dome-shaped neural retina or retina proper. Retina. Here is ciliary body, a ring-shaped structure. Because it is a section, so the ring will be cut twice, upper part and lower part. Ciliary body. Now to the ciliary body, two structures are suspended, iris and via suspensory ligament, lens is suspended. Iris, again a circular diaphragm, but it is sectioned, so the iris is cut twice in this diagram. And this is lens. Suspended by suspensory ligament to the ciliary body, and the ciliary body has ciliaris muscle. Now if you want to see a near object, this is suppose a near object. Near object. If you want to see this marker near the eyeball, then some changes occur in the eye to accommodate and to see this near object clearly, to have a inverted clear image of this near object. So the rays coming from near object are always divergent. Rays from a near object traverses to the cornea and enter the eyeball. Now these divergent rays has to be focused at one point on the retina so that an inverted image is formed. The image of the near object should be clear. So what happens? These divergent rays, these are focused on one point on the retina. Now to see a near object from which the rays of light are divergent, what happens? That the pupil constrict pupil constrict to allow only the central rays which are less divergent, and these rays are then focused on the retina by lens, and to have a clear image, the peripheral rays, they are not allowed to enter the eyeball. Why? Because the pupil constrict. The peripheral rays are obstructed by the iris, but only the central divergent rays, they pass through the pupil of the iris. The iris in this case is constricted. Pupillary constriction occur in response to near object. So the central rays, they are allowed to pass through the lens. Now second, because the divergent rays require more powerful lens to be focused on one point, therefore what happens, the convexity of the lens is increased. When the ciliary body muscle, ciliaris muscle contract. So iris, here is ciliary body. In the iris, the constrictor pupillary muscles constrict to allow only the central divergent rays to pass through it. Peripheral rays are cut off so that you do not have a blurred vision of near object. Second, because the near object rays are divergent, they need more powerful lens. Therefore, the ciliary body contract, it releases pressure on the lens bulges, that is, its biconvexity is increased. In other words, lens power is increased. Here, ciliaris muscle contract. Here, constrictor pupillary muscle contract. In this way, when the ciliaris muscle contract, what happens? The lens power is increased. So that the central divergent rays, they are focused at one point on the retina, and you have a clear image of the clear and inverted image of the near object. The image is then made erect by the brain. So this is the accommodation reflex pathway. And what is accommodation reflex? To see a near object, not far object. The rays coming from far object are parallel, but the rays coming from near object are divergent. So to focus divergent rays on the retina, we need more powerful lens. This is why in accommodation reflex, the ciliaris muscle contract and it relaxes the lens, and the lens biconvexity is increased. And similarly, to have a clear image of the near object, the peripheral rays coming from near object should not be allowed to enter. Only central rays has to be passed so that you have a clear inverted image on the retina. This is the accommodation pathway. So in pupillary light reflex pathway, the constriction of the pupil is lost. Pupillary light reflex, the pupillary constriction is absent, but pupillary constriction in accommodation pathway is present in Argyll-Robertson people. So in Argyll-Robertson people, where lesion occur in the pretectal nuclei, and also in the fibers connecting the pretectal nuclei. So in Argyll-Robertson people, the accommodation reflex is present because pathway for accommodation reflex is different, but the pupillary light reflex will be absent. In why the accommodation reflex, pupillary constriction in accommodation reflex is present? Because of the pathway. The pathway for the accommodation reflex is differ from the pupillary light reflex. The fibers of the pupillary accommodation reflex do not relay in the pretectal nuclei. They relay directly from the frontal eye field directly onto the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of the oculomotor nerve. Rest of the pathway for pupillary light reflex and oculomotor pathway again same. So this was about the pretectal nuclei, which are important nuclei in the internal structure of the midbrain. So thank you very much, and keep learning. Please prescribe.